Dolphins have the day off. I never take off. What is up, Finn fans? Thought, you know what? Dolphins have off. After yesterday's performance from Tua Tagovailoa, why not make the expectation video now? Like I said in that intro, I never take off. Love making content for you guys. Love talking about the Miami Dolphins. They have off. I'm going to make this video. This is the start of my expectation series. We're doing Tua, we're doing McDaniels, we're going to do offense, defense, and then the team as a whole. So I have a lot planned even when essentially the days in between when they have off. I have a ton of content for you guys. But before we jump into that, I do have to thank today's sponsor. And yes, that is Manscaped.com. I'd like to thank today's sponsor, Manscaped.com. Now, Manscaped.com, I've been working with them for a hot minute, and they got this package, no pun intended, called the Platinum Package 4.0. Now, in this, you're getting a lot in this package, no pun intended. You're getting the body wash. This body wash, fantastic. No aluminums, no any of that stuff that's going to mess with your skin. You get aloe, sea salt, moisturizer, all that good stuff. You're also getting the 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. Keep your hair all nice and clean. Of course, you're going to get the Lawnmower 4.0. It's got the light. It's got the skin-safe technology. It's waterproof. It's cordless. This thing is fantastic. I use it on my face. Like I was talking about with Father's Day, you can use it on your back, your chest if you're a hairy man. You're also getting the underarm deodorant stick. This thing, again, no aluminums, none of that bad stuff in there. It's good, scented, great for you, especially after the gym, all that good stuff. You put on your pits. You're getting the crop preserver. It's for your downstairs bonanza. Keep it fresh, keep it scented. Also, you get the toner on top of the preserver. So you get the preserver and you get the toner. And you might be thinking to yourself, geez, Doug, what else is in this package? It's not called Platinum for nothing, because now you're getting the Weed Whacker nose, ear, and hair trimmer as well. Not only are you going to get the Lawnmower 4.0, but you're also going to get the Weed Whacker nose and ear hairs. I'm turning 35. I'm already starting to get hairs in these areas. Gotta buzz them. So with all of that, Platinum 4.0, you get 20% off, free shipping, and on top of that, on top of 7 different things, they're going to give you 2 gifts. One being a nice carrying case, and the other being a pair of boxers. All you got to use is the promo code DDW20 and you get yourself 20% off on this fantastic Platinum Package 4.0. I'm telling you, you get all this stuff, you're going to have BGE, as they like to call it, Big Groomed Energy. So Manscaped.com, use the promo code DDW20, you get yourself 20% off, free shipping, and 2 gifts. Manscaped, thank you so much for sponsoring this video. Okay, so the way this is going to work is I'm going to kind of look at Tua, right? See his growth, see where he improved, where he needs to improve. I'm going to talk about some stats here and there. I have 2 very good articles. One of Scott Jackson sent me a ranking article that I will talk about that. And also Tyler Dunn did an article where he interviewed Chase Edmonds. And there's a section in there where he talks about Tua Tagovailoa. And then in the end of it, I'm going to give you my final expectations of what I think Tua should do this year. So let's jump into this. And first and foremost, there's something I want to talk about, and it's the Wonderlic Score, right? I noticed that a lot of people really emphasize that Wonderlic Score, right? He got a 19 on the Wonderlic, the highest you can get, or the highest that has been gotten. I think it was Ryan Fitzpatrick got a 37. That was the highest. I think like Patrick Mahomes is around 25 or ish, or you know, they've got more points than the 19 that Tua got, right? So people look at that 19 and some think that, you know, he's not smart, he can't read defenses, look how low, you know, this is why he had a hard time with the playbook in his rookie year, even though Tom Brady said the same thing and he had a higher Wonderlic score. So I was like, let me see if there's any good or competent or smart quarterbacks that had a lower Wonderlic score than Tua Tagovailoa at 19. And there was a few, right? There's Jalen Hurts, his ex-teammate, had an 18. There's Vinny Testaverde, played forever. Obviously could read a defense. Had a 17. Dan Marino. We all know Dan Marino. We watch Dan Marino. Dan Marino's a smart quarterback, knows how to read a defense, all that stuff. Had a 16 Wonderlic score. Randall Cunningham had a 15 Wonderlic score. Jim Kelly, 15 Wonderlic score. There's a few Hall of Famers right there. Steve McNair, Super Bowl play-in quarterback. Didn't win, unfortunately. 15. Donovan McNabb, 14. And there's a quarterback that some think that if Tua doesn't pan out this year and if Tua doesn't light it up this year, they should go after this guy. And that's Lamar Jackson. He got a 13 Wonderlic score. So, I don't think Tua having a 19 Wonderlic score has any implication on if he can read a defense, if he can understand a playbook. I don't think there's any implication on that because I just named, 3 Hall of Famers that have lower Wonderlic scores than Tua Tagovailoa. Because like last year, he was teaching the wide receivers the playbook. This year, he was doing it again. His rookie year, his pandemic year, he had about 4 weeks to learn the playbook. Even Tom Brady. If Tom Brady says that he didn't learn he didn't have a full grasp of the playbook until the playoffs. So, at the time, he was, a 17-year vet at the time? Come on. So, there's that, right? The other thing I want to talk about is kind of like I said, this video is kind of be like good, bad, and then I'll give you my ideas. But this is kind of not necessarily bad, but it's just consistency, right? That's my biggest knock on Tua because we've seen him make some dumb plays last year, right? The interception in the Jaguars game, throwing it to essentially the defender, it was just a bad throw. The interception, the pick six against the Jets, just a bad play. The interception in the Atlanta Falcons game where he essentially ran into the back of his own lineman and chucked the ball, that was a bad play there. So there's the plays that you're just scratching your head like, what are you doing there? But then there's the plays that you're like, there it is. Jaguars game, there was 2 plays where it's 3rd and long. He has the offensive line is doing a horrible job. The defense crashes in on him, and he still threads that needle and converts one play to, I think, a Waddle with 2 defenders on him and another with the defender on his back. That shows arm strength, and that shows vision, and that shows able to stay in the pocket when it's collapsing on you. That's a good play. The 2 plays against the Jets, the one to Isaiah Ford, drops it right into the breadbasket, and the one to Devontae Parker on that corner route, right in the breadbasket. The play against the Saints, right? He has a guy falling on him. He has a guy hitting him. He still gets it off, launches it to Matt Collins. And then the 2 plays, obviously the crossing routes, Titans and the Baltimore Ravens, where, you give him time. He's able to assess and step up in the pocket and let it rip. Goes able to, get it down the field. But again, for me, he chain them together. You know what I'm saying? Like, put them together, chain them together. Have a game where you're just constantly on fire, constantly of those second half of the plays that I was talking about, versus sprinkling a few crappy plays here and there. Because honestly, I can't remember a game where he took over. There's a few. I take that back. I know he took over the Cardinals game. Drove him down the field to kick the winning field goal or the game-leading touchdown. The Falcons game, he made a huge comeback after making those 2 interceptions to give them the lead with 2 minutes left. I know his rookie year against the Patriots, having those 2 rushing touchdowns really won the game for the Dolphins. So but I just would like to see him chain them together more and be more consistent on his passing. This is year 3. You know what I'm saying? This is year 3. He needs to get there. The other thing, right? Playoffs. A lot of people think that the Dolphins need to make the playoffs for Tua to have a successful year in year 3. I disagree with that. I don't think the Dolphins need to make the playoffs I want them to, and if he does have a good year, I think they will, but I don't think it will stamp what he is, and I don't think it'll stamp if he's with the team or not, if they make the playoffs. It might stamp other things for other people in the organization. But you've seen Justin Herbert have 2 good years. He didn't make the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? You could still show that you are the franchise quarterback, you are the future of this organization, and not make the playoffs. So I don't think the playoffs are necessarily on Tua. I think that's a team thing, just like I think that the record, to say like, oh, Tua has a 13-8 record, the team has a 13-8 record. So I don't think records are a quarterback stat. I think they're a team stat. The last thing we're going to talk about, and then I'm going to get into the 2 articles, and then I'm kind of going to go over some stats and give you my expectations of Tua, is I notice that sometimes I see the good, right? I just gave you a list of plays where I'm like, that's it. But then I obviously could see the bad when I gave you those plays where he makes stupid mistakes. And so many people, like there's Chris Sims and there's other people, and obviously there's some people in the community and stuff that just don't think he's good. I watch film. I've known football. He doesn't have it. And then I hear Hall of Famers, future Hall of Famers, and guys who have played the sport and future GMs talk about the same thing that I'm seeing. And that's where I'm like, there's something there. There's definitely something there. Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Kurt Warner, Louis Riddick, Jason McCourty, Willie McGahee, T.O., Chad Johnson, RG3, to name a few. Those are some guys that are talking about the same thing that I'm talking about, right? Like, I could see he has something there that definitely can build off of, and definitely can become something good. It's just he has to put it together. That's where my reservation is, and that's where the consistency part comes in, because he's a little inconsistent. I'm going to get into these articles. I'm going to get into these 2 articles. We're going to start with the article that Scott Jackson sent me, right? He sent me an article, essentially, NFL quarterback tiers 2020. Allen, Herbert, and Burrow make tier 1 debut. So essentially what this article is about is the full 2022 quarterback tier results are below for every veteran starter. The results reflect voting from 50 NFL coaches, executives, including 6 general managers, 8 head coaches, 10 evaluators, 12 coordinators, 6 quarterback coaches, and 7 executives whose specialties include analytics, game management, and the salary cap. The remaining ballot was put together by 4 members of one team's personnel department. So he got in 50 guys. He got 50 guys to come together and vote on this list. So obviously tier 1 is the best, to tier 5, which is the worst. And I think we're just going to go to Tua. I think Tua just starts tier 4, I think it is. I don't agree with where he's ranked. We'll read why. He is tier 4. He's right under Justin Fields. I don't agree with where he's ranked, right? They have Trevor Lawrence above him. So, like, Trevor Lawrence had a horrible rookie year. So, but let's see what they have to say about Tua Tagovailoa. So he's ranked 26th, and let's see what they have to say. And they say skepticism continues to engulf Tagovailoa. Last offseason, voters placed him in tier 4, partly because they didn't have enough information to place him elsewhere. This offseason, voters placed him there because they've seen enough to say he does not belong higher. He is being set up for success with a run game, defense, offensive line, and the impact players at the skill position, an offensive coach said. If there's ever a time for him to be successful, it is this season. What is success? Staying healthy all year, leading his team to the playoffs. Agree 100% with that statement there. Agree 100%. The team has set him up for success. 100% agree with that. What is success? Staying healthy. And you'll see, I'll talk about that with expectations. He's got to stay healthy. If he stayed healthy last year, the Dolphins make the playoffs, and I'm 100%, being serious about that. I think Jacoby Brissett was a reason we lost to the Raiders. I think Jacoby Brissett is a reason we lost to the Colts. I think if Tua was our quarterback, we beat those 2 teams, we make it to the playoffs. So 100% agree with that statement. Voters worry about Tagovailoa's ability to process quickly enough to protect himself. They question how he will be how well he identified protection coverages and Mike points while blaming him for getting hurt against Buffalo when he failed to account for a pass rusher. I disagree with that point. I even talked about it. I disagree with the last line, let me say. While blaming him for getting hurt against Buffalo, he got blitzed off the left side, and then the very next play, he pointed out that same blitzer, right? And the getting hurt against Buffalo, he called out the blitz, but that wasn't a blitz. This is where I disagree, right? Again, just that last line, because that wasn't a blitz. That was a pass rusher, right? Which he failed to account for the pass rusher. Jesse Davis just got beat bad, you know? He got beat bad. So I disagree there. That's the only line in that paragraph I disagree. While blaming him for getting hurt, I don't blame him for that. He wanted to come back in, but that's here nor there. He's a guy that I'm holding on to the edge of my chair while I'm watching him play. Okay. I'm still cheering for him, and I'm just hoping it doesn't implode. Having Tyreek Hill and Terron Armstead and all the talent they have, there's no excuses anymore. He's got to get it done. Agree 100% with that paragraph. I kind of agree with the first half. I'm trying to remember watching games last year, and I was nervous. I remember being nervous at some points, but I don't think I was necessarily nervous just about him. But I also think I was nervous about the offensive line, right? Just blowing coverages, allowing free rushers, and just Tua getting demolished. So I think it was a combination of things. But I do, again, agree with that paragraph. An evaluator called Tua the most accurate of the recent Alabama quarterbacks, but he called Jalen Hurts and Mac Jones much fiercer competitors, which could help them grind through struggles. Okay. It's not all negative for Tua, however. I'm excited to see what he does with the supporting cast. An offensive coordinator said, I'm a big fan of the offense they're installing, getting the quarterback to make quick and easy decisions. I don't think Tua is moving into a consistent 2, but I could see some people next year saying he has a good year, that he has some 2 attributes. I like what they're building around him down there. So this isn't that bad. They have him ranked low. I would have him ranked higher than some, like Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence. They are younger, so I think that's why they put him lower. But what they said wasn't, it's kind of where I'm at with my expectations of him, right? It's a lot of him. This is his year, that he has to put this together, all that stuff. The only thing I disagree with in this whole thing is that they blamed him for his injury against Buffalo. I 100% disagree with that. I blame Jesse Davis 1,000% for that, because I've even showed you in film breakdown him pointing out protections, especially after taking that big hit on the blitzer. I think the blitzing corner on the left side, he points out that protection. He points out protection. So I disagree with that one. Other than that, I agree with everything they said, especially with him. This is his year. I just don't agree with where he's ranked. I would put him ahead of a few more, like Trevor Lawrence. I'd put him ahead of Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts has the athleticism that he got that notch. Mac Jones, I think him and Mac Jones are the same players. I don't think Mac Jones should be that much higher than him. 18 to 26, yeah, no. Same thing with Jimmy Garoppolo, but Jimmy Garoppolo has the experience and he's been to the Super Bowl, so I get why they put him higher. I just don't agree with some of the quarterbacks being above him. But it's not a bad article, and I don't disagree with what they said. Now we're going to go to Dunn's article. Again, this is an article breaking down Chase Edmonds, but there's a section where they talk about Tua that I find very interesting, and then we'll get to my expectations, and I'll give you guys my stance and everything on Tua, since you've been rocking with me for the past 16 minutes and hearing me ramble on. So he says, first he notes that McDaniel's scheme is built for Tua because it's based on the quarterback setting his feet and making deliberate throws with timing, i.e. Tua's strength. That is Tua's strength. This offense also feeds off of receivers with yak, Edmund continues. We have 2 of the best yak receivers you could have in this offense. Tua is going to do a great job. He takes care of the football already, so as long as we come in and we help him out, and we do what we're supposed to, we get open and we hold on to the football, we catch the football, everything will work out. Yeah. See, he understands it. Chase Edmonds understands it. Tua had a lot of drops last year. Not saying that that's the reason the offense struggled, because there's plethora of reasons why the offense struggled, from Tua at times, the run game, the offensive line, the wide receivers. It was just an offensive problem last year. But yeah, like you said, we got to get open, got to hold on to the ball, and we got to catch the ball. The problems with the offense weren't just for Tua, because Jacoby Brissett against the Buffalo Bills, when they were down 14, got into the red zone 3 times and had to deal with a fumble, had to deal with failed conversions on drops and stuff. So it wasn't just a problem with Tua at quarterback, it was a problem with Brissett at quarterback as well. He says, so say what you will about Alabama's plethora of 5-star talent, he adds, the offense will still timing based with slants and crossers and deep posts, 1, 2, 3 throw. That's what Edmonds tells everyone to expect in Miami. And like practically everyone else, he assumed Tagovailoa had a week on before signing. Such was the narrative. When I came here, I was thinking, well, you could say it, how far is he going to throw it, Edmonds admits. Then that's how bad the media is. Once the running back started practicing with his new quarterback, any fears began to subside. He claims Tagovailoa's arm is plenty strong and states Tua was a Heisman finalist for a reason and the number 1 quarterback out of Alabama for a reason and the 5th overall pick for a reason. I agree with that, and that's where my thought process is. Did his hip injury affect that? Because he was a Heisman finalist for a reason, and he was hitting these 5-star, wide receivers in Alabama in stride, deep, consistently. Did the hip injury affect him mentally and physically with some of his throws? That's a question that I'll answer once we get to expectations. From what Edmonds was told by his new teammates, the deck was stacked against Tua for his first 2 years more than anyone. I find that incredibly interesting. From what Edmonds was told by his teammates, the deck was stacked against him. So Tua's teammates that are still on the team right now told Chase Edmonds as he was coming in that the deck was stacked against Tua Tagovailoa. I find that very interesting. The offensive coordinator and the offense, the way it was ran, was terrible. Edmonds says it was absolutely terrible. He just didn't have the right pieces around him. Now he has the right pieces around him. He'll be just fine. That's interesting. And again, that's coming from Chase Edmonds. Chase Edmonds is saying these things. Much like Tyreek Hill does at times, there's a microphone present. Edmonds pumped Tua love into the atmosphere, all part of that manifest positivity, right? Yet he also knows how this can be perceived by skeptics and promised that he's not BSing anyone here. He's going to be just fine, says Edmonds, and I don't like cashing checks for people. Perhaps Edmonds speaks so confidently about his quarterback because he knows he'll have a say in the final product. And then he goes on talking about blocking schemes and stuff. Again, I will link the article below. It's a 3-parter. Go read it. Tyler Dunn does a fantastic job. But I love that paragraph. Much like Tyreek does when a microphone's present, Edmonds pumps to his love. Yet he also knows how this is going to be perceived by skeptics and promising he's not BSing anybody. Skeptics of Tua, obviously, if anyone talks positive about him, are like, well, he's getting paid to do it, or he's his teammate, and blah, blah, blah. And I find it funny that he comes out and says that. So those are the 2 articles, right? One was kind of not so high on Tua, and this one, it's more Chase Edmonds talking about what Tua does strong and kind of putting some of those things to bed. So now I'm going to give you essentially my expectation going into 2022. So if you look at his stats in 2020 to 2021, they've all gone up, right? He's played more games. He's played 3 more games. More passing yards from 1,800 to 2,600. Better completion percentage. More touchdowns. Unfortunately, more interceptions, though. So everything seems to have gone up. And also, if you go to PFF, there is the 2022 quarterback annual stat sheet, right? And there's some things on there that I find interesting. Big time throws, he's below the league average. And turnover worthy plays, he's above the league average. And I noticed that with the turnover worthy plays, he like, especially yesterday, there was things that he was working on that he's changing, because he threw the ball away. I think it was Friday. He threw the ball away instead of trying to fit it in when he had pressure in his face. That's where the turnover worthy plays can definitely come down. But some of the things I noticed, percentage of pressure dropbacks taking a sack have drastically gone down from 2020 to 2021. In 2020, it was 21.1% of the time when he dropped back, he took a sack on the pressure. 2021, it was 13.8% of the time. So he got really good at getting that ball out. He got really good at stepping up in the pocket and evading that pressure, because the responsibility, 42 pressures, I guess you could say, were on the right tackle. I don't think we're surprised by that, Jesse Davis. 34 were on the left tackle, 21 on left guard, 17 on the center, 13 on the right guard. Shows you how good Robert Hunt was. Only 11 on Tua. If you look at other quarterbacks, the pressure responsibility on them is higher than that, higher than the 11. So Tua is very good at avoiding the pressure. But then his passer rating isn't good, right? When he's getting blitzed, last year it was 101.6, and much better. This year it went down a little bit. It's not too bad. His passer rating when he's getting blitzed, it's 92.5, but it went down, right? When he's not getting blitzed, that went up. Last year it was 79.2. This year it's 89.2. Passer rating on third downs, that went up. It went from 66.4 to 81.5. And then passer ratings in the red zone, that went up drastically. 72.5 2020. Last year, 102.6. That's above the league average. All these other ones, the passer rating, blitz, non-blitz, and third down, are a little bit below the league average. The thing I do want to talk about, though, that I find extremely interesting is his time in the pocket, right? When he has 2 seconds, or 41% of his passes, he has 2 seconds to throw the ball. So when he's got pressure like that, he's on target 85.7% of the time, and he actually has a passer rating of 108.7. But then when he has 3.1 seconds or more, which is only 18% of the time, his passer rating goes down to 67.3. So when he has more time in the pocket, his passer rating goes down versus when he's rushed. Now, time to throw. This is time to throw, not time in the pocket, or, the reason why he only has 2 seconds or less is because he's doing RPOs and he's getting the ball out quicker. That's different than time to throw. They are calculating how much time he has to throw versus getting the ball out. Two different things. And again, 41% of the time he had 2 seconds or less. And his passer rating was 108.7, which is way above the league average of 90.3. So I thought that was very interesting. But then again, when he has more time, 67.3, which is way below the league average of 90.3. Also, 5 interceptions with more time. With less time, he has 1 interception to 8 touchdowns. With less time, 1 interception, 8 touchdowns. With more time, 5 interceptions, 3 touchdowns. It's like he doesn't know what to do with himself. He's like, I got time. Hopefully, he can really work on that. So just going over, he has progressed in certain aspects of his game, and I expect him to progress even more. I expect that whole part of him having a passer rating with less time versus more time in the pocket, I think that will get better as well. So I'm going to give you stat expectations, right? Last year he had 2,600, only playing 12 games. I think this year he'll have 39 to 40. Well, I expect. This is what I expect. 39 to 4,200 passing yards. He had 16 touchdowns. I want him to double that to 34. 10 interceptions. Stay around there. If he has 34 touchdowns and about 15 interceptions, I'm fine with that. But my biggest thing with him and my biggest expectation with him is he only started 12 games last year. Regardless of why, right? Whether you think it was Brian Flores holding him out, his injury, regardless of why, I would like to see him play the full season. Will he? I don't know. But that's what I expect. I expect him to continue to grow. I expect him to continue to get better. He has the weapons around him now. So I expect these numbers to go up. I expect they've gone up every year. You know, touchdowns have gone up, passing yards have gone up, completion percentage has gone up. I expect a huge jump now. I want him to play the full season. I think Mike McDaniel trusts him to play the full season, and I expect a huge jump. That's my expectation of him, right? I want him to succeed. If he succeeds, it's good for the team. If he succeeds, if Noah Igbenogany succeeds, if Austin Jackson succeeds, it's good for the team because these are less pieces we have to use the cap space and less pieces we have to use those 5 picks in the first 3 rounds to address. So if he does what he needs to do and all of a sudden it clicks and finally either it's the coach or finally he has an offensive line or finally he has, you know, more than one wide receiver and it clicks for him, that's good for us. And that's what I'm expecting, right? This is year 3. I think that the offense is going to be predicated towards him, predicated towards his strength. They gave him weapons. My expectations are growth. Huge growth. I want to see a big jump. I want to see, and again, 3,900 to 4,200 isn't like, that's around 11th last year in passing yards. I think 11th or 12th. I'm not even saying get me top 10 passer rating, passing yards and everything. Just a huge jump, right? Dolphins will win games if we get this from Tua. Again, but that's where the rest of this series comes from, with expectations on the defense, the offense, the team, and the head coach. But overall, that's what I think. Comment below. Let me know what you guys think. What do you think of this series doing the expectations? What do you think of my expectations of Tua? Are they realistic? Are they not realistic? Comment below. Let me know. I think camp is back tomorrow, Monday. And then Tuesday is open. I think that's when they're wearing pads. I think that Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday this week is camp. Open to you guys. So you guys killed it sending me videos. If you can do it again, I'll shout you out. But other than that, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. But like usual, stay classy. That fins up.